The knock at midnight. It was a cold night. The wind howled through the trees, and the stars above were hidden behind thick, gray clouds. Inside a small house at the edge of the human colony, Sarah sat near the fireplace, sipping warm tea. She lived alone. Her house was old, made of stone and wood, but strong. It stood at the edge of the forest, away from the main colony. She liked the silence, the peace. But that night, something felt different. The air was heavy and the wind seemed to whisper warnings. Then she heard it knock very soft. Almost, like a tap. She froze. It was midnight. No one ever came here at this hour. Not in this weather, not in this world. Another knock. This time, slower, softer. Sarah stood up, heart beating faster. She walked to the door quietly and placed her hand on the handle. She didn't open it yet. She spoke through the wood. Who's there? No answer. She opened the door just a little, only a crack. That's when she saw them. A figure sat on the ground, holding something close to her chest. A tall, thin woman, but not human. Her skin was pale blue. Her eyes glowed faintly, and her long, white hair moved slightly in the wind. In her arms she held a small child wrapped in gray cloth. Sarah gasped and stepped back. The alien woman looked up. Her face showed no fear, only sadness. Then she spoke in clear, soft English. "We'll leave, if you don't want us." The voice was calm, no begging, no anger. Just quiet words. Sarah didn't know what to say. The woman looked tired, weak, and cold. The child didn't move. Sarah could see his small hand. It looked human, or almost human. She shut the door. She didn't lock it. She just stood there thinking, who were they? Why were they outside her house? Aliens were not allowed near the human colony. It was the law. After the Great War, peace was thin. Both sides feared each other. Sarah had seen aliens before from far away, but never this close. She paced the room, staring at the door. The words echoed in her mind. "We'll leave if you don't want us." Not, "Let us in." Not, "Please help." They didn't ask anything. They were just, why? An hour passed. Sarah couldn't sleep. She sat near the window, watching the door. The night grew colder. Snow began to fall. Still, no sound. No knock. Just silence. When morning came, the clouds cleared. A bit of sun touched the trees. Sarah finally opened the door fully. They were still. There. The woman sat in the same spot, holding her child. Her face looked frozen, lips dry. The child's eyes were closed. Neither moved. Sarah stepped outside slowly. Her boots made crunching sounds in the snow. She knelt beside them. "Are you all right?" she asked. The alien looked up, blinking slowly. "We didn't move. You didn't say we could." Sarah's heart hurt. These two had sat through the whole night, freezing, waiting. She looked at the child. His face was pale. His breathing slow but steady. "Come in," Sarah said softly. "Please. Just for now." The woman nodded once. She stood slowly, holding the child close. Inside, Sarah brought warm blankets and placed them near the fire. She poured warm tea, though she didn't know if the alien would drink it. The woman took it with shaky hands. She sat without a word. Minutes passed. Finally, Sarah asked, "What's your name?" The woman looked at her and replied, "Naira." Sarah looked at the child. "And his it?" Naira paused, then whispered, "He has no name yet." They sat in silence. Sarah had many questions, but she didn't ask them yet. Naira didn't explain anything. She didn't say why she was here. She didn't say why she chose this door. She didn't ask for help or safety. She just sat there, quietly, calmly, as if she knew this moment would come. Sarah looked at the child again. Something about him felt different. She didn't understand it yet, but deep down she knew this was not a normal night. This was the beginning of something bigger. Something strange, something not just about humans or aliens, but something that could change everything. Outside, the snow kept falling. Inside, 3 lives sat near a small fire. 1 human, 1 alien, and 1 child who might belong to both. The child did not cry. That was the first thing Sarah noticed the next morning. Most babies, human or alien, made noise. They cried, whimpered, moved their hands. But this child, Naira's child, was silent, still, breathing, yes, alive, yes. But quiet like the forest before a storm. Sarah watched them from the kitchen. Naira sat on the floor beside the fire, the child in her arms. She hadn't slept. Her eyes stared into the flames, blinking only sometimes, as if lost in another world. Sarah poured warm soup into a bowl and walked over. "You should eat," she said gently. Nyr looked up. Her pale blue hands trembled as she took the bowl. She sipped slowly, still no words. Sarah sat down across from her. "Do you understand me?" Naira nodded. "Then tell me." Sarah leaned forward, voice soft but firm. "Why did you come here? Why me?" Naira lowered her eyes. The child moved slightly, shifting closer to her chest. "We had no place else," Naira whispered. "I was told. This house was once safe." Sarah's heart skipped. "Told by who?" Naira's lips trembled. "Your mother." Silence. The fire crackled quietly. "My mother died 10 years ago," Sarah said, her voice flat. "She helped one of us once," Naira said. "Long ago, before the war, she gave food. And didn't tell anyone. We remember." Sarah felt something stir in her chest. A memory, vague, blurry, of her mother sneaking food out the back door. She was just a child then. Maybe it was true. Before Sarah could ask more, a loud beep echoed from outside. A motion alarm. Someone was near the gate. Sarah stood quickly and moved to the window. 2 men in colony. Guard uniforms walked toward the house, armed. Naira stood too, eyes wide with fear. "They'll take him," she whispered. "They'll take my son." "Hide," Sarah said. Nyr looked at her, unsure. "Now," Sarah ordered. "Behind the storage door. Don't make a sound." Naira moved fast, vanishing into the back room with the child. The knock came hard this time. Bang, bang. "Open up, citizen." "Sarah," one voice called. "We're here for your security check." Sarah opened the door slowly. 2 guards stood there. One scanned her house with a small device. The other, older one, stared at her face. "There was a report," he said. "An unidentified figure seen near your property, possibly alien." Sarah kept her face calm. "I didn't see anyone, just the wind and a fox." The younger guard stepped forward, eyeing her carefully. "May we come in?" Sarah smiled politely. "You may not." "Without a warrant." The guards looked at each other. The older one sighed. "All right, but keep your alert sensors on. If you see anything strange, anything alien, report it." "You know the law." "I do," Sarah said, voice cold. They turned and left. She waited until their truck disappeared down the forest road before closing the door. Then she ran to the storage room. Nyra stood in the shadows, clutching her child. "You didn't tell them," she said. "No," Sarah said. "But I don't know why." Naira looked at her. "Because you know something's not right." Sarah nodded slowly. She didn't trust aliens. She didn't trust humans either, but that child. He didn't feel like a threat. He felt like a question. Later that day, Sarah noticed something strange. The child's skin was warmer than before, almost glowing. She touched his hand. A soft pulse of light passed through her fingers. Not burning, not painful. Just energy. She pulled back. "What is he?" she asked Naira, her voice barely a whisper. Naira looked away. "Not what, who?" Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "Then who is he?" Naira spoke very quietly. "He is not just mine. He is yours too." "All of yours? Half alien, half human?" Sarah stared at her. "You mean?" Naira nodded. "His father was one of you." Sarah sat down slowly. She didn't understand everything. Not yet, but she understood one thing now. This child wasn't just an outsider. He was a bridge. And both sides would want to burn it down. The child healed the flower. It happened just after sunrise. Sarah was outside, watering the small garden behind her house. The snow had melted in patches, and a single flower had managed to bloom early, too early. Its petals were weak, dry from the cold night. Naira stepped outside, carrying the child gently in her arms. Sarah looked back and smiled slightly. "Strange." "They for a walk." Naira didn't answer. The child looked at the dying flower. He reached out one tiny hand and touched it. In a second, the flower stood taller. Its color turned deeper, stronger. Sarah froze. She stepped closer. The flower had no frost. No dryness. Just life. Naira looked away. He doesn't know how to stop it yet. Sarah stared at the child. His eyes were open, golden, glowing faintly. What is he? She asked again, her voice quieter this time. Naira sat down on a flat stone. I told you, he is a bridge. A child of two worlds. Sarah sat beside her. But he did something just now. Something impossible. Naira nodded slowly. He has power, because of me. But the light inside him, the control, the warmth, that came from his father. Sarah was quiet for a long time, then she asked, Who was he? Naira looked up at the sky. His name was Elias. The name made Sarah stop breathing for a moment. I know that name, she said slowly. Elias was a pilot. He disappeared. 2 years ago, Naira nodded. They told you he vanished. But he didn't, he chose to leave. Sarah's mind raced. Elias, the golden boy of the colony, the young hero, the man who once smiled at everyone, including Sarah. Gone without a trace. They said aliens killed him, she whispered. Naira's voice cracked. No, they didn't. I loved him. He loved me. We tried to hide. But when they found out, he was erased. Sarah felt a deep ache in her chest. Why come back now? Why come to me? Naira looked at her carefully. Because you still remember who your mother was. Because you didn't shut the door. And because you are not like the others. Before Sarah could answer, a high-pitched sound came from inside the house. A small machine on her table blinked. Read a warning signal. Someone was scanning her property again. Naira stood, alert. She held the child close. They're looking for us. Sarah nodded. We need to move you, fast. But before they could act, the child pointed at something behind the trees. Sarah turned. In the distance, half hidden in the shadows, stood a black drone hovering, watching, recording. They found us, she said. Naira looked around. We have minutes. Maybe less. Sarah ran inside, opened a hidden trapdoor under her floorboards, and motioned Naira to climb in. Stay there. Don't make a sound. She closed the trapdoor just as the front gate buzzed again. Another visit. This time, not just guards, a man. In a black coat stepped out. Not from the colony, not a soldier, someone else. He didn't knock. He just spoke, loud and cold. You're harboring a threat, Citizen Sarah. Step aside. Sarah didn't move. Inside, under the floor, Naira held her child close, and for the first time in hours. The child began to cry. Soft. High-pitched. And not just like a baby. There was something else in the sound, something that vibrated through the walls. Through the floor. Through the bones. Sarah felt it too. Sighed. The man in black stepped back, confused. His scanner beeped loudly. Then shut off. The machines were failing. The air around the house shimmered for a second like heat in the middle of cold wind. Then everything went still, and the child stopped crying. Nyr held him tight. He doesn't know what he is yet, she whispered to herself, but they do. That's why they want him. Sarah sat on the floor above them, heart racing. What have I brought into my home? But even deeper inside her, another thought whispered back. What if he's the only hope we have? The wind spoke first. Not in words, but in movement. The trees outside Sarah's house shifted without sound. The leaves didn't rustle, but bent as if something invisible was passing through them. The air was still, but it felt like it carried a message. A warning. A whisper. Inside the house, the child opened his eyes again. Golden light, dim and soft. No crying this time. Just silence. Sarah sat nearby, pretending to read a book. But her eyes never moved across the page. She was listening, watching, waiting. For something she didn't understand. Naira was quiet too. Her face was tired. Not from lack of sleep, but from too many memories. She was holding a small device in her hand, round, cracked, and silent. What is that? Sarah asked finally. Naira hesitated, then answered softly, It's a memory capsule. For him. Sarah tilted her head. For the child? Naira nodded. If I die, it will show him who he is. The words were cold, final, like they'd been Practice. Sarah didn't know what to say. She looked at the child again. He didn't look dangerous. He looked like any other baby, except when the light inside him moved. He's not just your son, is he? Sarah said. And Wire looked up. Her eyes were tired but steady. No, he's their fear and your future. Before Sarah could ask what she meant, there was a knock on the door, not loud, not angry, just steady. Sarah stood slowly, heart racing. Don't open it, Naira whispered, but Sarah already had. It wasn't a soldier. It wasn't a drone. It was a little girl, maybe 6 years old. Messy hair, dirty coat, no shoes. Her eyes were wide and terrified. Please, she said. They're coming. Sarah stepped outside. Who? The girl pointed behind her. And from far across the trees came a strange metallic hum, low, growing, like machines rolling over roots and stone. Sarah brought the girl inside and locked the door. They scanned my house, she told Naira, but now they're scanning everything. They're not looking for just you anymore. Naira listened carefully. They know the child's energy signature. They're searching for that, not me. Sarah's voice cracked. Then he's not safe anywhere. Naira held the child tighter. There's a place, she said. An old shelter in the forest. Not human, not alien either. Built before the war, before the rules. Sarah raised an eyebrow. What kind of shelter? Naira stood. The kind built for running and hiding. Sarah looked at the child. He looked back at her, calm and quiet. There was something behind his eyes, something that didn't belong in a baby. Something ancient. They left before sunrise. Sarah carried food. Naira carried her son. The little girl led the way. She said she used to hide in the forest when she was hungry. Said she followed the wind voices to Sarah's house, whatever that meant. As they walked deeper into the trees, the wind returned, but this time it was speaking. Not in sound, but in direction. It pulled leaves from the left when they should fall to the right. It bent grass in lines like pointing fingers. It showed them the way, and the child watched it all, not surprised. As if he understood. Hours passed, and then the ground changed. Stone instead of dirt. Black, smooth lines, hidden under moss. A shape too clean for nature, too round to be human. And Wire stopped. We're here. Sarah looked at the dark wall half buried in the earth. No door, no windows. Just symbol, a circle, with 3 marks. She touched it. Nothing happened, but when the child reached out, even from Naira's arms, the stone shivered. Door opened. Without sound, cold air touched their faces, and from inside came a soft voice. Not a machine, not a person. Just a whisper. Welcome back. The walls were breathing, not like lungs, not like any living thing Sarah had ever seen, but deep inside the old shelter, the one hidden beneath roots and silence, the walls pulsed softly. A gentle wave, as if the stone itself was listening, watching and maybe remembering. Sarah ran her hand across the surface. It was warm, but not from heat. More like a quiet heartbeat. What is this place? She asked. Nyr stood nearby, holding the child close. It's called the Hollow Memory, built by those who never took sides, a third kind. They left before the war began, but some of their places still remain. Sarah turned. A third kind? Naira nodded. Not human, not alien. Something older. They believed in balance, not control, in life, not weapons. The child reached out and touched the wall. The pulsing stopped. Then light appeared, thin, glowing lines racing across the surface, forming shapes, images, symbols. And a voice returned. The core remembers. Begin restoration? Naira placed her hand beside the child's. Begin, she said. A panel opened in the wall, revealing a floating crystal orb, cracked, flickering, but still alive. Inside it, images blinked, flickered, rewound. A human face, a familiar one. Sarah stepped closer. Wait. That's Elias. Her voice broke. The orb showed memories. Elias smiling, speaking with Naira, holding the child just after he was born. Then, the moment he was taken, bright lights. Screaming. Gunshots. Silence. Sarah covered her mouth. They didn't just find him, they took him. Naira nodded. They made it look like he vanished, but he died because he chose peace. Because he chose me? Sarah felt the weight in her chest. All her life she'd believed the story. Elias, lost on a mission, killed by an alien ambush, but the truth was different. He wasn't lost. He was silenced, because he loved someone the colony. Refused to understand. Sarah stepped back. I've lived among liars, she whispered. All of us have. Then she looked at the child and realized something else. You knew, she said to Nira, you knew they'd never let him live. That's why you ran. Yes, Nira said, and now they know where he is. Outside, a deep sound rumbled through the trees. Not thunder, not wind. Something else, something heavy. A scanner had locked onto the child's energy signature again. They're coming, Nira said. The orb beside them flickered again. A new message blinked across the wall. Genetic fusion. Unstable. Potential rupture in 5 cycles. Sarah squinted. What does that mean? Nira's voice trembled. He's growing too fast. His body can't hold the power much longer. Sarah turned to her sharply. So he's dying? No, Nira whispered. He's changing. Becoming what neither species was ever meant to be. Sarah looked at the boy. His golden eyes were glowing again, but this time they weren't soft. They were bright. Focused. He was looking past both of them, toward the entrance. As if he knew who was coming. As if he was waiting. It began with birds, dozens of them, bursting from the treetops like black leaves torn from the sky. Sarah heard it before she saw it, the shift in the air, the silence that followed, then the low hum of engines. Not human vehicles, not alien ships. Something in between, smooth, silent, sharp. Nira looked up at the mouth of the hidden shelter. They're here. Sarah grabbed the food bag. Nira held her child tighter. The little girl, Myra, pointed to a tunnel deeper inside. The stone walls. There's another way out, she whispered. I saw it in a dream. Sarah looked at her. What? Myra shrugged. Sometimes I dream things before they happen. Nira didn't question it. She just ran. They followed the child through a narrow, twisting tunnel that smelled like old metal and ash. The light from the boy's eyes helped them see in the dark. Behind them, the entrance of the hollow memory trembled. Stone cracked. Someone was breaking in, and it wasn't human. Outside, the forest was no longer quiet. Black machines hovered low, scanning the earth, the trees, the roots. They didn't need eyes. They could smell energy. And the child was glowing like a sunrise in winter. Sarah turned to Nira. We have to split up. If they catch you, no, Nira said. If we split, they'll catch one of us. That's, enough for them. They only need one. Sarah looked at the boy. He looked back at her, calm again, too calm for a child, too calm for what was coming. What if he's leading us? Sarah whispered. Nyra didn't answer, but Myra did. He is, she said. He knows the way. They followed the boy through thick woods. Trees bent slightly as they passed, as if helping them. As if something old in the forest still remembered the hollow memory and protected those who left it. But machines weren't far. One of them spotted movement, heat signature. 3 forms, 2 adults, 1 unstable source. It locked on and fired. The beam hit a tree beside Sarah, exploding it into splinters. She fell, rolling, blood on her forehead. Nira screamed, but didn't stop. The child looked back and raised his hand, just a baby's hand. Open. Small. But the machine froze mid-air. Its engine stopped. Then, without a sound, it crumbled. Piece by piece, like it forgot how to be solid. Sarah stared. What did he do? Nira didn't answer, because she didn't know anymore. They found the old riverbed just before sunset. It was dry, broken, full of smooth black stones. Nira fell to her knees. He's overheating, she said. His body is too small for what's inside. Sarah knelt beside them. Then we stopped running. Just for a moment, let him rest. Myra stood on a rock, watching the sky. They're not stopping. Sarah looked at her. You see them? Myra nodded. And something worse. Nira touched Sarah's hand. There's something I didn't tell you, she said. This child, he wasn't just born, he was chosen. By who? Sarah asked. And Wyra looked up at the darkening sky and said only one word. Everyone. The sky opened without warning, without sound, not like a crack, not like thunder. It folded, quietly. Like a page being turned in a book no one remembered writing. Sarah felt it first in her chest, a soft pressure. Like the air was holding its breath. She looked up and saw it, a shape in the sky, not a ship, not a storm, a door hanging above the forest. Black on the outside, white on the inside, glowing. It wasn't falling. It wasn't flying. It was waiting, below it. The forest stood still. No wind. No birds. No sound at all. Just waiting. Beside her, Nyra held the child tightly. His skin glowed with gold and silver now, veins lit like stars beneath his soft skin. His eyes were open, wide, staring at the sky. He wasn't afraid, not anymore. Sarah knelt next to them. What is that? Nyra didn't blink. The door. Between worlds. You knew this would happen? No, Nyra said. But he did. The machines chasing them had stopped, all of them, dead in the air. Lights off, silent, like they saw something they weren't made to see. Even the airships above the colony paused. All technology, frozen, nothing moved now. Except the light. A single beam of soft light came down from the sky. It didn't burn. It didn't blind. It called. The child stirred in Nyra's arms. He looked at her one last time. Not as a baby, not as something helpless, but as something aware. He reached toward the light. Sarah felt tears rise in her eyes. But she didn't know why. It didn't feel like goodbye. It felt like history was about to split. Nyra kissed her child's forehead. Then slowly let go. The child floated upward. No wings. No wind. Just trust. As he rose, the door opened wider, not just in the sky, but in the minds of those watching. Everyone, humans, aliens, machines, saw something, a memory, a future, a version of the world where no one was hunted for being different. And for a moment, just a moment, they believed it could be real. And the child vanished into the light. The door slowly closed, and the sky was sky again. Hours passed. No one spoke of the door. No machines moved. No one chased Nyra or Sarah after that day. Because something had changed. Something had been seen, and once seen, it could never be forgotten. Sarah stood alone by the garden weeks later, looking at the flower the child had healed, still alive, still blooming, even in the wrong season. And one morning, just before sunrise, she found something at her door, wrapped in cloth. Silent. Breathing. Waiting. Another child, eyes glowing just slightly, a note pinned to the blanket. The door is never closed for those who leave it open.